I read 14 dark and paranormal romance books in 14 days, and today I want to talk to you about This Love Hurts by Willow Winters. Technically, I want to talk to you about the whole series, which is also called This Love Hurts, because I picked up the first one and got so invested I bought the whole series and read it straight through. I want to go over the plot and talk about some of the things that I really liked in this book and some of the things that really worked for me in the series overall, but before I do, let's do a quick content warning. These books in particular deal with some really heavy topics, so make sure that you're looking out for yourself. And while we're talking about content warnings, YouTube has this terrible habit of pushing adult content to the side in favor of family-friendly content, so if you like dark romance, or you just like what I'm doing or reviewing all these books, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help me out, and it also trains YouTube's algorithm to give you more dark romance content by me and other creators. This review will be spoiler-free, but I do plan on doing a full plot deep dive on the entire series in another video, so make sure that you keep an eye out for that if you think that this sounds like something that you'll like. Okay, so let's get into the book. This Love Hurts, all three books, are about an FBI agent named Delilah, who is working with the FBI to take down a serial killer named Marcus. There are at least 50 kills associated with Marcus or attributed to Marcus. And although all of the people that Marcus goes after are really bad dudes, they're like organized crime bosses and human traffickers, the FBI can't just let things like that slide. Vigilante justice just isn't going to fly. So they are trying to figure out who this Marcus person is and track him down. So the prosecutor, Delilah, and her FBI counterpart, Cody Walsh, have been working side by side on the Marcus case for about 6 years. They also work on other cases, and they've recently lost one. They had it dismissed in court because the local police force mishandled some evidence, so the case got thrown out. And that meant that this really bad guy who had been like taking children and selling them after abusing them had been let back out onto the street, and the local paper was just lambasting them, basically saying that they're incompetent, insinuating that they were involved somehow in this organized crime ring, and they really damaged Delilah's reputation. Not within her own office. Everybody in her own office knows that it wasn't her fault. She's not in control of the way police handle evidence. But ultimately, the court case was dismissed, and because she's the face of the court case, it comes back to her. So Delilah and Cody go to a local watering hole to sort of commiserate their mutual loss, like you do after you fail something at work, you know, coworkers just going out for a drink. The thing is, the two of them have been really attracted to each other the entire time, but they've never acted on it because they didn't want to spoil their working relationship and spoil their friendship. But on this particular night, sort of emboldened by a few drinks and feeling really down in the dumps and really sort of kicked around by this article that came out on her, Delilah makes a move on Cody, and this time Cody doesn't turn her down. The problem, of course, is that Cody Walsh is not everything he appears to be. He has information on Marcus, the serial killer they've been tracking, that Delilah is not aware of. Things that could lose him his badge, or wind him up in jail, or worse. And he and Cody have sort of made this pact, because Marcus is taking out bad guys. Cody is kind of feeding him information on, like, who to go after next, or coordinating like information he knows about these guys so Marcus can go get them because they've sort of escaped justice and the law is not catching them like it's supposed to. So Cody and Marcus have a pact. The bad guys always lose and nobody touches Delilah. The problem is, Cody broke that pact when he fell into bed with her, and now Marcus is coming to claim what he thinks is his. So let's talk about what this book is and what it isn't. It is marketed as a dark romance, and I would say it definitely falls into that category. One of the main driving things in the plot is the romance, and it's definitely dark. But it's also a thriller, and sort of a suspense novel, and I would argue that the thriller aspects of the plot are just as important, if not more important, than the dark romance aspects. And the two of them are so intricately intertwined that you could not remove one and have the other still function. It's a really great balance between romance and suspense, and I really enjoyed the way that everything was woven together. Although the plot is very suspenseful, very thrillery, very driving, it's very fast-paced. The main focus of the 3 books is these 3 characters: Cody, the FBI agent, Delilah, the prosecutor, and Marcus, the serial killer. And the way that these 3 are related in ways that they don't even really understand yet, and they sort of unravel over time through the course of the book. And sort of the like secrets that they keep from each other, and the lies that they tell to each other, and the betrayals that they enact upon each other. It's a very character-focused book, but not at the expense of a driving, very thrillery plot. These characters are complex. Their backstories are not just window dressing or an excuse to do bad things. You can see where the things that you know about their past actually influence the decisions they're making as the story goes along. And you can see the logic and the ties between, oh, she did this, this is why, because this happened to her XYZ years before. Oh, he's doing that, this is why, because of all these things that happened in his childhood. And there are direct correlations between what you slowly piece together about these characters and about their histories, and how and why they're making the decisions that they're making now, and the mess that they make because of those decisions they make. I really like that none of these characters are perfect. They are broken, damaged people, and the cracks in their armor start to become real weaknesses and real liabilities as the story progresses. The things that hurt them in the past come back to the fore with current events, and old wounds get ripped completely open. And none of them handle it with grace. None of them handle it cleanly or perfectly. And every mistake, every misstep they make adds more fuel to an already raging inferno. And it just gets way out of their control, and everything falls apart in the very best way from a story perspective. So that's the plot and the characters, but another thing I want to mention is the prose. The prose in this book, or this series, is relatively straightforward. It's very clean, it's very easy to read. The writing does not get in the way of the story. But every now and then, there's this little turn of phrase, this little snippet of beautiful craftsmanship, beautiful poetry, basically, embedded in what is otherwise very straightforward, very grounded text. And it's really nice to see. I quite like the way this author writes. I've never read anything by Willow Winters before. This is my first exposure to her. But I'll definitely be picking more of her stuff up. If the only thing that I was hinging it on was the writing, her writing is still good enough that I would be interested in reading other works. But that's not it. I really enjoyed this book series. I enjoyed all 3 of them. Like I said, I bought the first one planning on reading it for this Bloody Valentine series I'm doing, and then I just couldn't stop, and I didn't have time to sit and read 2 extra books this week, y'all. I really didn't. But I couldn't just put it down and leave the characters where they were. I wasn't done learning about them yet. I wasn't done with their story, and I needed to know how it ended. Because this is a dark romance review, and a lot of people read dark romance specifically for the spice content, I don't think that we can really post the review without talking about the spice. So where a lot of dark romance books fall down for me is because they are actually erotica. They're not romance books, they're erotica with kind of a plot speckled on top to sort of get you from scene to scene. This is not that. It's not that there's no spice, there definitely is, plenty of it for me, but it doesn't get carried away. It sort of introduces you to the scene and gives you a few of the motions and gets you the vibe and gets you like things starting to heat up, and then it just kind of very tastefully fades to black. It doesn't cut, it just sort of like, and then we fell together, sort of, very much in like a more tasteful sort of way. And if that's not your thing, if you want all of the like really explicit tab A, slot B, like super descriptions of like the viscosity of fluids and stuff, you're not going to get that here. But for me, I found that I much preferred the way that this adult content was written. It was definitely there. It definitely added to the character development. It pushed the plot forward. When sex was applied, it was applied because it was part of a character arc that needed to be done, or It was part of the plot and needed to be done. It wasn't just there gratuitously. It wasn't just there to like feed somebody's wank fodder. It was actually story driven. And I found that by far the approach to spice in this book has been my preference out of all of the dark romance books that I've read for this series. My only complaint, and I mean my only complaint, is that in order for the story to work, you have to read the entire series. And that doesn't mean that it ends on a cliffhanger. It means that they literally got to basically, okay, this is enough page count, let's just finish this scene and we'll end it here and then you can go get the next one. If you are like me, where you just have to know, that's really difficult to swallow. When I say I had to know what happened, I mean I had to. I couldn't not know. So if you are compulsive or a completionist, or you struggle with not knowing things, you might struggle with this. I would say get the, actually, let's put it this way. The first half of the first book is titled Do You Want Me? And you can actually pick that up as a novella. It's the first half of the first book. You can pick it up as a novella on Kindle Unlimited for free. So if you have Kindle Unlimited and you want to kind of test it out and see if you like this, I would do that. Grab that, see if you like the writing style, see if you like the characters, and then if you're going to read it, just get all three. Because if you don't, you're gonna be left wanting. It is my strong preference that in series books, when there's multiple books in a series, that the author sort of like brings the existing plot lines kind of to a temporary conclusion where you can like put a pin in it or tie a little bow on it and like stave you over till the next book or hold you off till the next book. Enough of a conclusion that if you're not carrying on to the next one, you're still kind of feel like you got a whole story. These don't do that, and it would have really bothered me if they weren't like $5 a piece and I just don't care and I just bought all three. So yeah, that probably would have really bothered me if buying 3 books this month was not in my budget. And it could just be that I don't understand the marketing genius of it. Maybe Willow Winters or her agents or whomever know that she's such a good writer that people are going to be drawn to or compelled to buy the rest of the books in the series, and they're kind of banking on that. That is entirely possible. It definitely worked on me. So I got super invested in the characters and super invested in the story, and I just couldn't not finish the series. So just be aware of that going into it, that if you read one, you're probably going to want to read all of them, and just be aware it's going to cost you about $15. Anyway, I guess that's more a testament to the strength of the story and the characters, or Willow Winters' writing in general. I couldn't put it down, literally could not put it down. Read all 3 books in 3 days. Even though it wasn't necessary because only the first one was part of this Bloody Valentine series. And I really thoroughly enjoyed them. They are exactly up my alley. I love thrillers, I love suspense, and I like dark romance. I'm not a big fan of erotica, but I like dark themes and dark romance. I love romance, I love dark. And this is a really good blend of all of them. It is very dark, and a lot of the darkness is backstory stuff, not necessarily like active stuff, but it is a living part and a living influence on the story, and so it does make it feel very heavy and very ominous. And it really worked for me. Anyway, so if you're like me and you like thrillers and you like suspense and you like dark stuff and you like romance, this might be something that you're really into. That's all I've got for this one. Make sure that you keep an eye out for that plot deep dive that I'm going to post here in another couple weeks. Like and subscribe if you haven't. If you want to support what I do, you can do that on Patreon, or of course you can always join us in the Discord where we talk about books and writing and just life in general. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Have an excellent day, and I'll see you in the next one.